Welcome, everyone, and thank you for joining in. My guest today is no other than Justin Tamsett. Justin is the REX Roundtable Chair. Thank you, JT, for joining us today.
Thanks, Dori. It's great wearing the REX hat today.
Yes, I made you take the boss hat off and put the REX Roundtable hat on, and hopefully we can keep it on there for the entire video today.
Well, I'll do my very best.
All right, well, let's get started. I'd love for you to tell me, how long have you been involved with REX Roundtables?
So I started in 1995. In fact, I was a member of REX Roundtables from 95 till 2008. And then I started chairing REX groups in Australia, REX Roundtables in 2004, and chairing REX groups in the US just before COVID. February 2020 was when I started in the US. So I guess my maths tells me that's about 27 years.
And how many chairs are you in charge of?
I have 3 roundtables in the US and 3 roundtables in Australia.
Oh, wow. All right, perfect. So what drew you to join REX back when you were a club owner, JT?
I think looking back on it now, Dori, I think there were probably 2 real reasons. One was, and we didn't even have a word for this back then, one was FOMO and one was being part of a team.
All right, well, tell us a little bit more about the FOMO and explain exactly what FOMO is for those out there that might not know what the acronym stands for.
Yeah, for those seniors, baby boomers, and millennials, it's a word that the Gen Zs use, which is the fear of missing out, and it genuinely is a thing these days. Back in the 1990s, when I was looking to become a member of a REX Roundtable, I simply did not want to miss out on the latest trends and news that was happening in the industry. And I figured if I could get to be part of REX Roundtables, it's almost like I would have my finger on the pulse of what was happening in the industry before the rest of the industry would find out. And I think in an uber competitive world, just to get, whether it's a day or a month or a year ahead of your competition, that's what I was really looking for. And I didn't want to miss out on that opportunity. And then I guess I justified that by saying, well, if I could get 3 members that might join or stay because of what I'd learned at that meeting, then I've certainly covered my cost. I remember in Australia, in the REX that I actually joined, there were some real sharp operators in that group, people that I really looked up to, and I felt honored and humbled to be in that group. And I knew I was never going to miss a single meeting because I just did not want to miss out on that. And then being part of a team, like I've always played like team sport, and life as a business owner is pretty tough. You know, you're strategizing by yourself generally. You're in a vacuum around decision-making by yourself generally. And you're also constantly wondering, how am I going in comparison to the rest of the industry? Like, I got money in the bank, but how am I going? So as a team player, I always, you know, my staff felt like they were part of a team, but I didn't necessarily. And so REX was kind of the team that I became part of.
Well, I think that's so awesome that there is a team for owners.
Yeah, it's pretty cool, isn't it? In fact, one of the things about being in that team is it just progresses and grows so that you actually become a family as well.
Yeah, explain a little bit more about what you mean by becoming a family.
So we all start as a REX group, like, you know, people of different backgrounds, different experiences. And as we get to know each other in that round table, I guess, unlike most business coaching programs, your team fast become a family, and your fellow REX members you trust so much as you divulge so much about your business and even perhaps your family and your life, that you do become this tight group, this family. And it's such a powerful and wonderful, exciting part of and unique aspect, I think, of REX.
Now, you mentioned the word trust. How does that trust happen?
Okay, so every meeting and each chair does things slightly different. But when I chair a meeting, we start with a warm-up activity. And this is also a great activity that listeners could launch in their own club when they're doing staff meetings or team meetings or a retreat or a staff planning day. And that's where we ask our REX members to rank their work, their family, and their personal life out of 10 since we last met. Then they have to explain how they got that score out of 10. And to be honest, when you first start, when someone first joins REX or it's a brand new group, those answers on why I got that number are pretty shallow. And I don't want to be disrespectful when we first start, but because we don't really know each other, they're very, very shallow sort of answers. But as soon as one REX member discloses something personal or something deeper, it almost is like a catalyst, and it then grows from that perspective. That circle of trust kicks in, and the trust within the group blossoms. And it's really quite amazing to watch unravel in front of your eyes, groups and how we just share so many things about our lives. And it's so powerful. And I really honestly believe this is one of the key unique aspects of REX, this self-disclosure, so that people then support you in the tough things, and they understand about you and who you are. And I can tell you some stages during these warm-up activities, we have tears, we have laughter, but we always know that we will learn something new about someone in that group, something that we didn't know previously. And it's just such a powerful part of REX that develops this trust, which enables so many open discussions then going forward within our meetings.
Well, I'm really impressed because honestly, I don't think I've ever heard of a group having discussions like that before.
Yeah, as I say, it is pretty unique, I think. And what we do at REX, and I guess the results of those conversations, that level of trust, as I say, it can be replicated within clubs and within teams as well. So you could be a group fitness manager listening today, and you could do this sort of thing with your group fitness team when they come together, or your personal training team. The keys that I think that make this real work well for us, and that you would want to replicate back in your clubs if you're going to do something like this, is there has to be guaranteed confidentiality. So what we talk about is not shared. Often what we share in a warm-up is not even taken back to our homes and shared with our partners. There's no judgment, of course, active listening. So everybody's really listening to what each other are saying. Then there's that support mechanism that happens post the meeting, and patience. When you do something like this for the first time, as I say, it doesn't get really deep and meaningful, but the more you're patient with this, the more you grow, your team grows with this aspect. They really do open up, and you learn a lot about your team, and you even learn sometimes, Dori, about why your team may or may not be performing.
So I love everything that you had to say. Tell me a little bit about, you have them rank their personal lives and their work lives. I think you use like the number 10.
Yeah, I guess the reason why we do that is we want to have that subjective judgment, but then also have that objective number so that we can compare from meeting to meeting as well. So we keep a record of everybody's scores, and then someone, for example, we had a REX meeting here in Australia a couple of weeks ago now, and one of the guys got his top scores in the last 3 years. So we really applauded him as a group, got great group recognition for what he'd achieved. And the discussion then became, well, what really have you done to be able to hit that? And what do you need to maintain to stay at those numbers? So that disclosure and those comparisons. So the numbers allows us to compare meeting on meeting as we go.
Well, I'm really impressed with so far everything that you've talked about that happens during REX Roundtable meetings. Do you think there's anything else unique about REX Roundtables that you could share with our FBP family?
It's there's probably lots of unique things when you're actually in a meeting. Let me highlight perhaps three. Firstly, no competitors. So maybe this is not unique, but it is so important as a part of REX, is that there's no one in the same REX roundtable that ever competes with you. So we believe at REX that the success of any roundtable is the conversations that occur in the meeting as well as outside the meeting. And the more open those conversations, the more transparent and the more willing you're to share it in those conversations, we know that's when people really benefit. So knowing that there is no competitors in the room, strict confidentiality allows taking honesty to a whole new level. And that's just so powerful.
Okay, so no competitors, check on that box. What is number two?
Yeah, number two is an interesting one. It's that you have to have unanimous support when you apply to join a REX. And I think this definitely is a unique aspect of REX. And for us as a company, sometimes it's the biggest problem for us about getting somebody to join. Maybe it's not a business problem. Maybe it's a strength of what we do. I don't know. But when somebody wants to join REX, they're either invited by a fellow REX member or they've seen some sort of marketing. Maybe they hear this podcast today. And when they respond, we get them to fill out an application form, and then they have to speak to a couple of REX members before they come to a meeting. And then when they're at a meeting, pretty much the whole group have to agree that this person is the right fit for our REX group. So as chairs of the REX group, we really trust our fellow members to pick the right people. And they have to have unanimous support. I'll tell you this quick story. We had a member here in Australia that wanted to join. And she was a lovely lady. She was a bit prim, bit proper, great operator, like phenomenal operator. And one of our members, she had support from everybody except one person. And one person said, you know what? Something doesn't quite sit right with me. He said, I just feel that if I want to swear, I can't swear in front of her. If I want to wear flip-flops, I can't wear them in front of her because I feel like she's judging me. So something just doesn't quite fit. So she was a great operator, but because of her characteristics, she actually didn't fit this particular REX group. So we had to move her to another round table. But that's an example of what we're talking about. We have to have unanimous support so everybody feels really comfortable in that group. But then also when you make that group and you're accepted into that group, it's incredibly rewarding and a positive feeling to know that every single person in that room wants you in that room. That's pretty powerful.
That is powerful. All right, so we'll check that box, unanimous support from your peers in order to be a member. Lastly, number three.
We have no curriculum at REX. So lots of business coaching programs have a curriculum that they follow. So meeting one, this is what we're going to cover. Meeting two, this is what we'll cover. Zoom call three, this is what we'll cover. We don't actually do it that way. Our REX agenda is quite dynamic. And at the moment, at the time of recording this, I'm writing 3, 4 agendas for REX meetings. So I can tell you firsthand, each one of those meetings is very different to any of the other meetings that we've ever had, or even these 4. It's because the members determine what goes on the agenda. It's what are the pain points in their club that they need help with. That's what makes the agenda. If they're a supplier on our suppliers roundtable, it's what are the pain points in their marketing or in their sales process, sales pipeline, staff management. That's what makes the agenda. So our members actually put the agenda together, and we have agenda topics like, successes that they want to share. So it's an opportunity to be able to share with your peers something that's really worked well and you're proud of. And then to get the recognition of your peers is very powerful again. there are problems or there are rocks in the business that you need to move, and you want to share them and get different perspectives on how you might overcome those problems. That sits on our agenda. Plus, the other part of the agenda is ideas that you want to float by people who understand your business before you turn that idea into an action. So it's like you've got this sounding board, if you will. So every meeting is different. Every agenda is different because it's put together by the members. And to be honest, Dori, sometimes I just kind of scratch my head and go, well, why would someone not want to be a member of REX when you actually determine what you're going to talk about at a meeting?
Right. So just a review, you're going to build the trust. Then you're going to have the support of your peers that are within your REX Roundtable group. And then the REX members actually get to have a say in the agenda. What would you say to those folks that maybe just don't see the value?
Are you crazy? Look, there are lots of business programs out there, and we know that there are lots of business development programs, both within our industry and outside our industry, that club owners and general managers and department managers get involved with. But a lot of them focus on customer acquisition or real retention strategies. And so as a result, those owners see a very much an immediate return on investment when they belong to one of those programs. I guess with REX, we try to fix the deeper organizational challenges. It's almost, we try to work out why you need to be going after those, that customer acquisition strategy or those customer acquisition campaigns. Why are you losing people? Why are you losing staff members? Like, our goal of REX is not how do you do it, it's about why do you need to do it, if you will. And I think if we consider like a membership base like a bucket of water as an example, owners often think the more water I put in the top means that it's making up for the water that's coming out of the bottom. And the problem with doing that is that you need resources, you need a lot of water to be able to put into the top of the bucket, and it also takes you a lot of time. So perhaps if we could work on how to fill the hole at the bottom of the bucket, or at least minimize the leakage through that hole to ensure that it doesn't keep happening, then maybe we've got a better bucket system. So this might be a longer play, but it's going to save you stress. It's going to save you grief when we work out how to plug that hole. So that's what we do at REX. We look at the strategy rather than necessarily the actual actions of how to do it. In fact, many of our REX members have companies that do the how for them, and they still are part of us. So I think it's getting your head around what exactly you would be part of REX for. And REX is about the strategy and the leadership side of business. It's not necessarily about customer acquisition. We talk about customer acquisition. We talk about campaigns that work, but that's not what REX literally does.
Well, I love the metaphor. It makes it super clear. So basically, you plug the hole to grow your business rather than consistently refilling the bucket. JT, I've seen that REX has just launched a women's only REX with one of our previous guests, Allison Flatley, and I believe she's the chair. Is that correct?
Sure is. Yeah, we have. And at the time that we're recording this, Dori, the Women's Leadership REX is literally on the brink of launching. We did an open call a week or so ago, and we're just following up those people that attended that. And yes, industry expert, leadership guru, all-round awesome human being, Allison Flatley is actually leading that group. So if you're keen to know more about that REX leadership group specifically for women, then yeah, check out rexroundtables.com or even contact Allison. Probably through LinkedIn is going to be your best method there. And I guess that group's really designed for our US fitness business podcast family, FVP family, in the US.
Well, I think it's really super cool how the REX model can be shaped for different industry niches.
Yeah, you're right. What we've tried to work on there, Dori, is that concept of peer-to-peer learning. It can be shaped for all niches within our industry. So let me give you a couple of examples. We've traditionally only had REX roundtables for club owners. That was where that kind of the roots of the organization. But now we have, particularly in the US, we have REX roundtables for group fitness managers, personal training managers, sales managers, marketing managers, as well as industry vendors or suppliers. That's on top of our REX roundtables for suppliers, a REX roundtable for club owners, as well as general managers. In Australia, in 2023, or at the time of this recording, we have just launched our industry supplier REX, and we will have a REX specifically for Anytime Fitness franchise regional managers. So we already have, I run a roundtable in Australia for Anytime Fitness franchisees. Again, that's quite unique that we could run one within a brand, and we're hoping to do that in the US as well. But yeah, so it's pretty cool that the product of REX can be shaped around all of those niches in our industry.
Well, I think I counted 7 different REX roundtables. So let me just run through them. Club or studio owners, general managers, group fitness managers, personal training managers, sales managers, marketing managers, and the last one would be industry vendors. So basically, if you have a business in these categories or you have a role in one of these categories, then you should definitely head to rexroundtables.com and find out more from either Eddie Talk or yourself, JT. Of course, the link will be in our show notes at fitnessbusinesspodcast.com. All right, JT, it has been great learning more about REX today. Thanks for coming on. So, by the way, one more question. How long do people usually stay a member of REX?
Ooh, interesting question, because we actually have had REX members who have been attending their face-to-face meetings for over 20 years, like phenomenal retention, as we would call it in our industry. And in Australia, just the last meeting I had, we've got people that have been part of that meeting for 10 years. In fact, I've got some people that have never missed a meeting in 10 years, except when we had COVID, of course. In reality, we do lose REX members. Absolutely, we lose them. Some people, it's not right for them, and we get that. But more often than not, we lose a REX member because they sell their business. And they look back on the sale of that business and say, well, thanks to REX, because we've helped them grow their profit, we've helped them grow their business. They get an awesome multiple of EBITDA, probably even greater than they ever imagined. So we bid them adieu, but they're still part of the REX family for many years to come, even though they don't have a club.
Well, that's awesome. And, I know earlier in this episode, you mentioned the word family, and it truly does sound like a family.
Yeah, look, we consider ourselves a global family. There's no question of that. In fact, one of my REX members here in Australia had his business literally physically ruined owing to floods earlier in 2022. And REX members across the globe donated money. People that, like REX members who have never met this guy, don't even know him, donated money to help him get back on his feet. And we've actually had other REX members who have offered to relocate for 2 or 3 months while a fellow REX member on their table has been ill or unwell. We've had others raise money for sick kids. It's so hard to put into words when you're in that REX family what that actually means for you. It really is love.
Well, this has been awesome. I mean, very impressive, really incredible. I just would like to know, before we end our chat today, if I was to come to join REX Roundtables, what do you think I would say after my very first meeting?
Ooh, actually, I think that's a pretty easy answer, because we tend to hear exactly the same thing after someone's first meeting, and it's something like this. that was nothing like I imagined. It was so much better, but nothing like I imagined. And quite seriously, that's what people say. Nothing like I imagined. So much better.
Well, I honestly can believe that. I can believe people would say that. If you would like to know more about REX Roundtables, and I highly recommend you join at least one of the 7. And I'm going to run through the 7 for you one more time. First one, club or studio owners, general managers, group fitness managers, personal training managers, sales managers, marketing managers, and industry vendors. Head to rexroundtables.com to find out more from Eddie, Top, or JT. Of course, like I said earlier, the link will be in our show notes at fitnessbusinesspodcast.com. Thank you, JT, for your time today.
My pleasure.